1891. Germany in World War II fought till the last man, and for that they established an army of civilians named the Volkssturm. The Volkssturm had to save Germany of annihilation. Would these men have any chance? Let's find out. Hey, welcome at another episode of Formations, the video series where we explore these peculiar army formations of the past. Brought to you by History Hustle. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to History Hustle. My name is Stefan. I'm a history teacher from the Netherlands. Make videos about history and all kinds of other related stuff. And if you find it interesting, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you'll become part of the hustle. It was the summer of 1944. The Allies had landed on Normandy Beach and were making steadily advance towards Germany. Meanwhile, the Soviets were closing in from the eastern side. The German army was short of manpower, and for that they established a people's militia. It was a desperate attempt of a totalitarian state to turn the inevitable tide. The Volkssturm was formally established on the 18th of October 1944. It consisted of men that were previously deemed unfit for duty because of age, occupation, or physical status. Men conscripted were between 16 and 60, but since most able-bodied men were already under arms, most Volkssturm men were around the ages of 16 and 60. They were put under direct party control instead of under control of the Wehrmacht, with Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler responsible for armament and training. Now, what is so fascinating about this army was that at the moment of its establishment, its country, Germany, was in severe lack of weapons and uniforms. And you can see that when you look at photographs of men that served under the Volkssturm. Those who were lucky, they got a uniform. Others just had to do with a greatcoat or just an armband while fighting in civilian clothing. There were the ranks of battalion leader, battalion physician, company leader, platoon leader, medical orderly corporal, squad leader, and people's stormtrooper. Some troops did got caps, others got helmets, some got British, Russian, or captured Czech helmets. When it comes down to weaponry, well, it's gonna get very interesting. See, there was a standard Mauser 98K rifle, but in many cases they were handed out old weaponry from even before the First World War. Just everything that they still had left in stock. Or foreign weaponry. Some Volkssturm members fought with French Lebel rifles or Dutch Hembrugh rifles. Du, wie alt ist deine Waffen? Meine Waffen? Kommst aus Nederland, aus 1914. Ist alt, wie ich. Some weapons were produced solely for the Volkssturm, like the Volkssturmgewehr. There were different models of these, but they all had one thing in common. They were really cheaply manufactured because, you guessed it, of the lack of material. And one iconic weapon of the Volkssturm was the Panzerfaust. It was a very easily manufacturable bazooka that could knock out a tank. Historian Ian Kershaw wrote the following about the Volkssturm. The Volkssturm mobilized in total over 500,000 men, grossly lacking in weapons to serve on the Eastern Front. Militarily, the value of the Volkssturm turned out over the subsequent months to be predictably low. The loss of many men, too old, too young, or too unfit for military service, who would die in the Volkssturm service would be utterly futile. The creation of the Volkssturm certainly amounted to a desperate move to dredge up the last manpower reserves of the Reich. The first battle the Volkssturm fought was actually a battle that took place before the Volkssturm was officially created, and this happened in July 1944 at the Baltic port city of Memel. When the Soviets entered East Prussia, German People's Militia fought off the initial Soviet attack, however with heavy losses. Later, when the attack resumed, the Germans had to retreat. The fighting spirit of the Volkssturm varied greatly. Some fought till the bitter end. Others ran away as soon as the enemy appeared. Others instantly surrendered. This here was a risky business because the terms of discipline on the Volkssturm were the same as on the regular German army. In other words, desertion was punishable by death. Flying court-martials, they roamed around the countryside and they condemned any suspected deserters by hanging. You could stick with your comrades with the risk of being killed in action, or desert or the risk of being killed by your own side. The Volkssturm members at the Eastern Front fought the most bitterly. They fought ferociously during the Battle of Königsberg and the Battle of Breslau. Also, when the Germans retreated, they mopped up the concentration camps. And in some cases, Volkssturm members assisted with killing off inmates of these camps. For example, in Stutthof, where Red Army POWs as well as Poles and Jews were massacred by the Volkssturm. Around 40,000 Volkssturm members would take part in the end battle, the Battle of Berlin. Historian Antony Beevor writes the following about this. Members of the Volkssturm, some of whom were wearing French helmets captured in 1940, were put to work constructing barricades across streets already littered with masonry and broken glass. Trams and railway goods wagons filled with stone and rubble were maneuvered into place. Pavements were ripped up and individual foxholes dug for men and boys armed with Panzerfaust launchers. And so the Battle of Berlin begun. Volkssturm members fought alongside members of the Hitler Youth and the SS. It was a ferocious battle. From windows and rooftops, the Volkssturm members harassed the Soviet troops with their Panzerfaust. At some point, the Soviet troops had to use anti-aircraft guns to clear off the roofs. Many Volkssturm members perished in the war violence. Some fought themselves to death, others killed themselves, and they expected family members to do the same. Some fathers, as they left to join their Volkssturm units, thought only of the fate awaiting their families. "It is all over, my child," one told his daughter, handing her his pistol. "Promise me that when the Russians come, you will shoot yourself." Many surrendered, waving a white handkerchief. When they were interrogated by Soviet soldiers, they thought that most Wehrmacht troops had retreated westward to surrender themselves to the Americans. And why was that? Well, basically out of fear of Soviet reprisals. See, the Volkssturm members had sometimes the expectation that they would be treated milder by the Soviets since they had not taken part in Operation Barbarossa and had thus not taken part in the atrocities committed in Russia. But as mentioned before, some Volkssturm members took part in mopping up the concentration camps. When reading Ian Kershaw's book, The End, the Volkssturm played a role in preventing the internal collapse of Germany and extended the war by a few more months. You know, many people find the Volkssturm fascinating. And why is that? Is it because of its big variation of uniforms and weaponry? Or is it something in us that admires the fact that when you're on the brink of collapse, you hold it out till the bitter end by establishing a people's militia? Let me tell you this. Let's just say you were born at the end of the 19th century. You fought in the First World War, saw many of your comrades fall, yet you live. Then a second war breaks out. You're not drafted because you're too old. But then this war comes to an end and you are being called upon to take part in a people's militia. And there you are, in your 40s, in your 50s, standing behind the barricades with a weapon that reminds you of your previous war. You can call this bitter irony or just plain sad. Thanks to my patrons you see on screen, and a special thanks to Henry Clarkson, Kulon Castleman, the President, Michael Nosek, Wombat Cookie. If you want to support me, please go to the link I offer in the description. If you want to know more about why the Germans fought till the bitter end in the Second World War, you can click right here. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to subscribe. See you later.